What's up, y'all? For those of y'all that don't know who I am, I go by T9 the Prince. I've been doing music for quite a while now. Also, videographer. Done a lot of music videos and moved on to wedding photography, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And for those of y'all that do know who I am, might say that I'm only following God now because of X, Y, and Z. I don't know, pick a reason, you got plenty of them. But anyway, this message is for people who feel like, I guess I would say, feel like they're not good enough for God, or people who feel like what could possibly be their calling is impossible. If that's how you feel, let me tell you a bit about myself. I come from Salisbury, Maryland, which is a small town. If you haven't heard of it, it's really not a surprise. Let's rewind. It's about 3-4 years ago when I was sleeping in my car or in a vacant apartment in Baltimore. Kind of depended on how my night ended that night. But yeah, this music is a little distracting. What are we gonna do without it? So I ended up on this side of the bridge because I got in trouble in my hometown, which is Salisbury, as I just mentioned. I got caught up in the middle of a murder case that I had absolutely nothing to do with. Anyway, moving forward, as I was going through these things, like, I've always had some kind of vision of what I was supposed to be doing with my life. But the problem was, that's what I was worried about, was my life and the amount of money I was gonna make doing what I was doing, how many Instagram likes I was gonna get doing what I was doing, views, you know, the regular worldly stuff that everybody wants. But my original vision, rewind again, I was just coming home from jail for something that I, again, didn't do. And my vision was that I was gonna make a studio. Mind you, only thing I had at this time was a laptop, a microphone, and a recording program. So how are we gonna turn this into a business? Well, while I was locked up serving my time, it came across my mind that me and my dad had built a building in the backyard, which was originally intended for his workspace. At the time, he was doing laminate, Corian, countertops, remodeling kitchens, which also gave me my first sense of trying to work for myself or making my own money. And not too long before I got locked up, pretty much the economy was messed up, the business went downhill. So as I was doing my time, as anybody else with a talent of rapping would do, I spent most of my time writing raps. I spent most of my time rapping with other people. So eventually it just became like an urge. Like I got to make this something. Like I got to make this something. Like it just wouldn't leave my brain at all. So eventually it came to me, you know what? How about you ask your dad what is he doing with the studio, or it wasn't a studio yet, with the building that's in the backyard. Mind you, it's sawdust all over the place. Half of the siding is missing off of this building. There's a bunch of old tools, mildew, all kinds of things wrong with it. So I use my collect calls, if you're familiar with jail at all. If not, great for you. But anyway, I called home and I presented my dad with the vision that I had of, you know, not only just turning it into a studio just so we could rap, but like it would give people a place to like not hang out on street corners. You know what I'm saying? Not, be in the midst of the world to get themselves into trouble. So when I presented my dad with this vision, he was on board with it, of course, because my dad is one of my biggest supporters. So he said, yeah, when you come home, let's do it, but you're gonna have to help me. Of course I did. So I end up coming home. I get all of these people that wanted to participate in this with me. At the time, not knowing that, or I wouldn't say not knowing, not considering the fact that my vision was different from theirs. They just wanted to rap. I wanted to make a difference in the community. But at that age, who thinks about things like that, right? So I come home, I get all these people that said they wanted to participate with me, and we clean the studio out, or the workshop out. It's piles of sawdust this high, it's spiders and snakes all in the building, because like it hadn't been used in years. So we finally get it done, get it cleaned out, and we start moving furniture in there. Put the furniture in there, set the laptop up, start recording, and it's like, all right, yeah, we need a booth now, because you got 10 people in here that are talking while we're recording, all kinds of things. So now we need to build a vocal booth. So we built the vocal booth and got the sound quality up to par. And at this time, like, there wasn't really anything street going on. So I personally was rapping about, struggles I've been through, just real life events, trying to like change people's perspective on life, I guess. Cause I feel like that kind of was my gift, was words. Maybe not talking per se, but this is the beginning of that. I guess that'll get better as we go too. But anyway, so as we start doing that, I drop a few mixtapes. Then I eventually turn it into a business. I start charging people $20 an hour for studio time. Actually making decent money, at least for a kid, well, teenager about to going into adult. Really no bills, anything, like I'm still living with my mom and dad. So I was making money, was all that mattered. It was good enough for me. So, but the fact is that the vision that was given to me while I was in jail worked. Like I thought about it, made the phone call, came home, did it, and now I was looking at something that started off as just a thought actually become reality. So in the midst of that, I ended up finding out that I had a son on the way. And when I found out I had a son on the way, so it's like, now the money that I'm making off of the studio isn't gonna work. Now I got to think about moving out of my mom's house. I got to think about getting a car. I got to think about diapers, and all of that. So I fill out job applications. Like I said, I just came home from jail, so of course that means I have a record. And if you know anything about the Eastern Shore, like the only job you're getting with a record is the chicken plant. Which I did for like 30 days, and it just was unbearable. So I ended up contacting a friend of my dad's that was getting to his own money, and he looked out for me. So once he looked out for me, then I started getting more into the streets. Cause like once you start hustling, you kind of really have no choice. Like that's the environment that you get put into. So as my environment changed and my life changed, my raps began to change. Let's start right there. So I took a vision that God gave me, brought it to reality, and now I'm straying away from God. Now, mind you, I'm still opening the door for Jehovah's Witnesses, doing Bible study. Sometimes I was even high while I was there, but I was still taking in the word, so it's always been in my brain. But anyway, I guess once I started staring further down that path, God just kind of was like, no, this is not what I gave you this vision for. And he shut everything down. How did he shut it down? Well, I found myself in the middle of a murder case that I had absolutely nothing to do with. And the only reason I found myself in the middle of that was because I had just left there for, like I said, hustling. Like, somebody that was there wanted something, I left. Shortly after I left, somebody got killed. So that's how that happened. And yeah, so full circle, I ended up back in prison again. Well, first time prison, second time incarcerated. So now I was given a different vision. I don't know if it's because I did the wrong thing with the first vision they gave me, or it's just because time was up, or whatever happened. But anyway, so even while I'm in prison, I'm still going to Bible studies, still going to church, all of this kind of stuff, and I run across a Best Buy catalog. Mind you, I was doing videos already, sparingly anyway, on top of the studio time that I was doing. So when I'm going through the Best Buy catalog, I'm looking at, the new camera equipment that's coming out. Drones was just first starting to come out, and something just was like, this is it. I don't know whether it was to add to what I was already doing, or for me to put down what I was already doing and move on to this. But anyway, we'll get into that. So, what was that? Oh yeah, so, like I said, I'm still writing my music, still going to church, I do my time, I come home, and I end up moving across the bridge to, what was it? Glen Burnie first. It was Glen Burnie. And the person I was with, we ended up splitting up. So then I move on to sleep in my car, vacant apartments, like pretty much wherever I could lay my head at. And then at that time, it just kind of was like, how are we gonna make any of this happen? Because mind you, my first job when I came home from prison was slicing deli meat for $9.25 an hour. And mind you, a drone costs about $1,500 to $2,000. The camera I need costs about $2,000. I need a Ronin stabilizer, that's $500. And I'm getting $400 every 2 weeks. Plus I got bills. And yeah, it pretty much was impossible. So, even through all of that, when I found myself sleeping in the car, sleeping in the vacant apartment, even at one point I was sleeping on my friend's couch, I still had a vision of what I was supposed to be doing. But it wasn't a full vision. It's like, it's crazy, because it's like God gives you pieces at a time, because you can't, like, if he gives it to you all at one time, you're never going to see it. And what I mean by that is, like, the Best Buy catalog was just the tools that I was supposed to be getting. And even the tools that I could go buy if I ever got the money seemed impossible. Let alone if you had given me the whole vision of starting a wedding videography company. So anyway, as I'm working, I still got my camera. I'm doing music videos. A lot of my music videos is gangster rap videos. Everybody, waving guns all around the camera and popping Percocets on camera and all that. You know what a gangster rap video consists of. So what I was trying to accomplish never really I was never presented a way to execute it because I wasn't really going down the right path. So not too long after I split with the person that I was with and got through the homeless phase, I met my fiance. And this is around the same time that the pandemic came around. So, mind you, I already couldn't see this vision working in the first place. Now we got the pandemic, they're cutting my hours at work. I'm just like, how am I supposed to be doing this? And why did you give me this vision that I can't execute? But I always refer back to the first vision, the studio that started off as a workshop that I saw come to life. So that's what kind of made me keep pushing. So not too long after that, like I said, the pandemic was in effect. So nobody foresaw stimulus checks or extra unemployment. Like I don't know if you did, but I surely didn't, because I was so used to working and barely being paid. I never imagined sitting home and getting $1,000 a week. So I filed for unemployment. I had to wait for it for like a month or two. So when I finally get it, it ends up being like $5,000. And this is around my son's birthday, so I had to spend some of that on his birthday and a couple other things I can't really remember. But I remember what I had left over after that was about $3,000. And then I subconsciously heard that voice that was like, this is where you start at. And I'm like, this is where oh. So then I get on the internet, start looking at stuff. Now I can magically afford everything I need to bring this vision to life, but I'm still thinking about rapping. Like I said, the worldly thing. So I get all of this equipment that I thought was impossible to get and go back to the same thing that got my vision shut down the first time. The streets. Shooting videos for the streets. And at the time I didn't really think about it, but now looking back at it, it's just like, why would I think that God would bless me with a vision and give me the tools to execute a vision, and I'm doing the devil's work? That doesn't make any sense. Well, apparently it didn't to him either. So fast forward a little bit, I end up bringing my fiance into the picture, not even knowing that she had any kind of passion for photography or artistic intellect at all. And I can't remember exactly how it was said, but it was something along the lines of, what do you think about weddings? And so I said, you know what, let's try it. And we did. I posted on Facebook, anybody getting married, you know, I'll come do your wedding for free. The person that ended up calling me was in my hometown, which was a 2-hour drive away. So at that point I'm just like, can you like slide me $100, you know, like for gas and food and all of that or whatever. And they end up doing it. So I go down there, shoot the wedding, post it on my Facebook. They end up giving me extra money for shooting it. That gets followed up by a phone call from the knot. I didn't know what the knot is. I don't blame you if you don't know what the knot is. But anyway, once we started listening on there, it's like a online wedding vendor catalog. So the $100 wedding that I did ended up turning into a $500 wedding, and then a $1,500 wedding, and then a $2,500 wedding. All from money that magically appeared out of nowhere, and a vision that was given to me in prison. If that's not God's work, then I really don't know what else to tell anybody to try to convince them that it's really a thing. Because you got the studio vision that happened and got shut down because I wasn't doing the right thing. You got the video vision that got prolonged because I wasn't doing the right thing. And once I finally started doing the right thing, it fell right into place. Mind you, I've been doing music videos for 5 to 6 years. And I've never got paid more than $300 for a music video. Never. People, you got to struggle to get people to pay you $150. And this isn't about money, the point that I'm trying to make. But the world is about money. And God knows that you need money to be able to live comfortably. And it's one of the main tools to be able to get a message out. Like, even back in biblical times, like, they would ask Jesus, like, what do you think about paying taxes to Caesar? And his response would be, give to Caesar's what's Caesar's and give to God what is God's. What does that mean? Pay your way, but still get the word out. If that is so your mission. And I kind of got some proof of that. Because God's been giving people visions throughout the whole Bible. Y'all know the story of Noah. Y'all know the story of Moses. But you don't really hear much about the story of David. I mean, you do, but not this part of the story. So we got Chronicles 21:18. It says, then the angel of the Lord ordered Gad to tell David to go up and build an altar to the Lord on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. So, Araunah the Jebusite, that's a person. That means that this threshing floor that this angel is telling David to build the altar on doesn't even belong to him. He's telling somebody to go build an altar on something that belongs to somebody else. So David went up in obedience to the word that Gad had spoken in the name of the Lord, while Araunah was threshing wheat. Proves my point, correct? He turned and saw the angel. His 4 sons who were with him hid themselves. His 4 sons who were with them hid themselves. Then David approached, and when Araunah looked and saw him, he left the threshing floor and bowed down before David with his face to the ground. David said to him, let me have the site of your threshing floor so I can build an altar to the Lord, that the plague on the people may be stopped. Sell it to me at full price. Araunah said to David, take it. Let my lord the king do whatever pleases him. Look, I will give the oxen for the burnt offerings, the threshing sledges for the wood, and the wheat for the grain offering. I will give all of this. So I read that in sequence to everything I just said, because my message was, once you do it for God, everything else goes in your favor. Not saying that you won't have hurdles in the way, because you also got to remember the devil. But the closer you stay to God, the less the devil really matters. Because the only thing he's going to do is run or try to distract you. But it's always up to you which path you choose. With that being said, I'm gonna stop it right there, because this isn't gonna be my last episode. This is the beginning of I don't know. Just like I didn't know why I was buying this camera I'm talking to you through. Destiny overpowers everything.
Bro, there's too much pain in your music, just get that shit some bounce. I'd rather give my mans a job than give him an ounce. He went from grand to selling bricks that ain't making it out. Thought he was ballin' till his lawyer cost him 20,000. 100 G's for a bind and now he can't get out. So what's that money shit you talking about? I ain't trippin', cause I built this shit brick by brick with my own two hands. Too much pain in your music, just get that shit some bounce. I'd rather give my mans a job than give him an ounce. He went from grand to selling bricks that ain't making it out. Thought he was ballin' till his lawyer cost him 20,000. 100 G's for a bind and now he can't get out. So what's that other shit you talking about? Built this brick by brick, yeah, with my own two hands, with my own two hands. A lot of things that come with being an overachiever. I asked God what you want me doing, he said lead the people. Who would've known that that also come with leaving people? The ones I showed the most love was the biggest deceivers. I went and got it out the mud like a golden retriever. Grew up in a decent home, but I couldn't have been straighter, because I thought that was the way until I studied Jesus. All the stress got me losing hair like alopecia. They thought the story was over, ain't know we playing the sequel. Crazy how the police doing things that's more illegal than selling crack, but I guess that's worse than killing people. With they own two hands, with they own two hands. Remember cashing the checks for fake amounts. Now I got 1099s with no bank account. Just pay attention, I can show you how to make it out. I was chasing dollar signs, they was steady chasing clout. Matter of fact, tell me how that's turning out. They keep saying, yeah. Bro, there's too much pain in your music, just get that shit some bounce. I'd rather give my mans a job than give him an ounce. He went from grand to selling bricks that ain't making it out. Thought he was ballin' till his lawyer cost him 20,000. 100 G's for a bind and now he can't get out. So what's that money shit you talking about? I ain't trippin', cause I built this shit brick by brick with my own two hands. Too much pain in your music, just get that shit some bounce. I'd rather give my mans a job than give him an ounce. He went from grand to selling bricks that ain't making it out. Thought he was ballin' till his lawyer cost him 20,000. 100 G's for a bind and now he can't get out. So what's that other shit you talking about? Built this brick by brick, yeah, with my own two hands, with my own two hands.